Stargirl, The Lost Children, issue 3. Geoff Johns writing with Todd Nuck on the art. So we're on the orphan island from the end of the last issue. Red Arrow was taken and has been imprisoned.
By an egg.
By an egg.
I forgot about the egg for a hot second until they reminded us.
Yes, the robotic egg that came and kidnapped her. But more importantly, we're teased about who the we're teased about two things. So we're teased about the childminder, who's the one who's actually in control on the island. But it also keeps teasing something we've not seen yet, which is like the I don't know,
foster father.
The foster father, yeah, the person who's actually really behind all this. So that's something for next issue, which they're teasing. But we do get to see what the childminder looks like, and she is like weirdly nightmare fuel.
From a Grimm's fairy tale first draft.
She's got like she's got like, you know, the raptor feet, and she's got like a mask that's a little bit jokery and that it's like white with the red lips, but then she's also got feathers behind her head, and like it's very monstrous. It's very, is all I can say.
There's something about Johns and these characters, because Crib in Green Lantern was introduced in a similar way, and you know, Crib's just basically like an old hag though. This was a new level, and especially someone that doesn't like birds and has a bird phobia. Her being very bird-like, do not like. It added an extra level for me. So
that's funny to me, bird phobia.
Yeah.
So obviously Stargirl's with the team of characters she ran into, Wing, Airwave, Cherry Bomb, and Robbie the robot dog. Thank you for all the character captions on that first page, Geoff. I appreciate it. So they basically find out that there is like a barrier to because Stargirl tries to fly away, and it's kind of like the little island in Lost. There's a barrier, you can't just fly away. She finds that out the hard way, and they have to kind of like catch her when she comes down. But she's taken to their sort of lair, and it turns out there's a ton of like sidekick superheroes that have been like left here. And you know, if I have a complaint about the issue, is that they're kind of fun to learn about these characters, but there is like a lot in the middle of the issue is just introducing us to a lot of characters.
Yeah, in case you didn't read all the captions in that special that came out months ago.
Here
we go again.
Yeah, so you get a bunch of these, but it's all charming enough. But the big thing though is that at the end of these introductions, Corky Baxter, the Time Master, shows up, and he's like sort of like, because there's a couple of like lines from Stargirl where she mentions, or she's saying something about herself, and that she's like Pat's like, you know, stepdaughter or whatever. And someone's like, wait, but he's like Stripesy. He's too young to have a stepdaughter. So there's a lot of little things where they're picking up on that. What's going on here? And then someone says, you're from the future. And then we're introduced to Corky. And it's like, wait a minute. He was in, obviously, Flashpoint Paradox.
Right.
And, you know, he's aware that she's from the future. Or maybe not so much that she's from the future.
He's familiar with time dilation.
Yeah, this island clearly is moving slower in time than the rest of the world, and
I like that they introduced that he's there because he's Rip Hunter's kid sidekick.
Yeah, so it's interesting that he's here and how this is going to tie into the overall stuff that Johns is doing. What I think is interesting though is like when Stargirl and Red Arrow get back, has there been a bit more time pass than they're expecting?
Right.
You know,
or is it going to be one of those things where when they bust out of here, you know, 4 seconds has passed, you know? And time. Oh no, time moved for them.
It would be the opposite though, given the way that everything else has moved with these characters still being kids. Because if anything, what I'd expect to happen is they'd get off this island, even though they're only there for a couple of days, and it would turn out that a year's passed in the real world. I could totally see that happening, and then obviously
maybe
Courtney's parents are going to be like, "Oh, where were you? We thought you'd been, you know, lost forever," kind of thing.
Yeah,
that would not surprise me.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
she stuck out on this, right? Too, because she was supposed to be in trouble.
Oh yeah, she stuck out. Yeah. So that's really interesting. They mention, of course, you know, they tease Jay's daughter, and of course, the end of the issue is that he's in the cell next door. You know, Red Arrow tries to escape. Childminder can make her forget the last 5 minutes or 5 hours, depending on what she wants to do, and the voice next door who's talking to her explains that, and then the last page reveal is that her cellmate, or the cell next door, I should say, is Judy Garrick, who is the Boom. That's what her name is.
Well, but I like how they explained it. Johns is like, you know, my dad's Jay Garrick, he's the flash of the lightning, and I'm the Boom that follows.
I wasn't complaining about the name. I thought the name was cool.
Oh, no. I'm just saying, I like that they explain it like in that way, and it's a very golden age way of introducing the character.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, I like that a lot.
It's a cute detail. And yeah, and she's like, she's going to be key to maybe getting out of here. But we see that she's in chains and she's actually powering something. Like she's on a treadmill and it's like powering all this stuff around the room. So clearly she's probably powering the island, or maybe she's powering the time bubble barrier effect. That's something like that. Yeah.
It's not quite a cosmic treadmill, but it's along the same lines.
Yeah. She's the hamster on the hamster wheel powering the island or something. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I had a good time with this issue. Maybe there's like a little bit too many characters that are being explained in the middle of the issue. But I will say, despite that fact, it moves surprisingly quick despite that. Because if I described that to you, you'd probably think, the middle of the issue must be a slog. It actually moves still quite at a nice broad pace. The early stuff is fun, but I really like the Emmy stuff. Like Emmy being kind of, trying to one-up her captor. And failing is fun, so I enjoyed that.
It was positively creepy. And the childminder.
I'm looking forward to all the sidekicks finding out that the real world has moved beyond them. All the heroes that you were sidekicks for, they're all dead, most of them.
So who was Wing the sidekick for? Do you remember? Was it the Crimson Avenger?
I can't remember, but that sounds possible.
I'm gonna call my shot now, and that's who the foster father is. Because they play up that Wing was the first, that's John's doing the Seven Soldiers, timey-wimey, and that Wing was the first of the sidekicks and made the legacy happen. And that they made a big deal, and I read these too close, but John's Stargirl and then the Stargirl Spring Break special, we're making a big deal about the Crimson Avenger also being a villain. Something had happened that made him. Also, and they kind of put it on Wing.
As much as I was saying, maybe they'll come out in a year's past or something like that.
Right.
Alternatively, what could happen is that when they all leave the island, they all go back to their own time, so it'll be no time has passed. So what it'll do is it'll actually rewrite history where these characters were never lost.
Right. They'll never lost, and they've always been there.
Yeah. So that could be what it does instead.
Yeah. But yeah, just the stuff with Wing and the Crimson Avenger, and that him being lost led to some weird stuff that happened with Crimson Avenger, if I remember my history right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm digging the many. I think this is just John's playing with his own corner of the DC universe right now and having fun with all these characters. So, and we've had 3 issues of this versus only 1 of JSA, so I've got more of an opinion on this versus that right now. So, yeah. So cool. What are you giving Stargirl and the Lost Children issue 3?
I'm going to give this an 8.
Yeah, I'll agree with it. I had a good time.